Welcome to the Mark Dolan Show with daily videos from the United States. Now, big news today. King Charles treats Harry in the most brutal way possible. I've got the inside story. Meanwhile, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have fired a load of their staff. Why? Are they in financial trouble? I've got more on that. Plus, Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte, they are spending time with King Charles at the moment. But is that marriage on the rocks? And what about Michelle and Barack Obama? I'll be doing some digging. But let me just tell you, we're in Yosemite National Park. It's our last day here. We are on the cathedral path before I get to the royal truth bombs and Prince Harry being treated brutally by Charles. Cameraman John, let's have a quick look at where we are. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a clear late afternoon and everyone's in a good mood. The sun is shining. The only person that's not happy right now at this moment in time is the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry. And here's why. He has been brutally left out by King Charles this week as Charles, the monarch, the leader of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth, made a big speech about his brother, Prince William. So King Charles makes a praiseworthy speech in front of the French President, Emmanuel Macron, and the world's press, praising William. Not a word about the H-bomb, Prince Harry, my husband. Nothing. Now, this will be devastating for Prince Harry because don't forget, the Mark Dolan Show reported the shocking news last week, and we did that in front of the White House, that on Armed Forces Day in the UK, again, the King Charles, makes a big statement about the royals who have served in the military. No mention of Harry, only himself, King Charles and his military honours, William and Prince Philip. Harry, not mentioned, even though Harry served 2 tours in Afghanistan and frankly is the most military of any of the existing members of the royal family. So there is a clear pattern emerging here, a clear message from King Charles, which is he's had enough. King Charles is out. No mention for Harry in the Armed Forces Day, and no mention for Harry at the visit in the United Kingdom of the President of La Belle France, Emmanuel Macron. So Charles delivered a rare public tribute to the Prince of Wales, his son William only, and this was in the company of Princess Catherine, of course, and a state banquet with President Macron at Windsor Castle. By the way, Macron and his wife have had a huge row, massive story, I'll get to that. But the monarch welcomed the French president and his wife Brigitte, who was still in a bad mood, I think, for his first state visit hosted at Windsor Castle since the king acceded to the throne. It's a big deal. Britain and France have a very special relationship. We are close neighbours, long-standing allies. La Belle France. Who doesn't love France? You have the croissant, don't you? Oh, c'est délicieux. C'est mon favori. Nourriture le croissant. And you have French cinema. And you have Vanessa Paradis, the pop star, who's comfortably the most beautiful woman in all history, apart from Mrs. Dolan. So we love France. Renault. Citroën. So the Citroën car, I think back in the old days, it would have a button which raised the suspension. Only the French did that. No other country had a button for the suspension except the French were like, we would like a button to make the car rise. And that's why France is great. We would like a little button, for the suspension. Pourquoi pas? Right, so this is, folks, this is massive news. This is King Charles pouring out praise and opening his heart to his son William, and deliberately not mentioning Harry. In many ways, do you know what's happened? King Charles has been watching Meghan Markle, my husband. He's been watching Meghan, and he's taken a leaf out of her book, right? This is actually, the way King Charles is behaving at the moment is out of the Meghan playbook, which is to basically ghost his own son. Do you know about ghosting? Do you know what that means? It means now when someone's in your life, like your, boyfriend or friend or family member, and then they suddenly just stop all communication. No texts, they don't answer your calls, they don't reply to emails, you ring the doorbell, there's no response. It's called ghosting. It's not a nice thing, and it's very common. And it's when people just disappear from your life. Meghan has ghosted anyone and everyone her whole life. She's ghosted her half-siblings. She ghosted Piers Morgan, who showed her the London scene. She ghosted Victoria Beckham, who is part of England's second royal family, the Beckhams. Ghosted her after she helped her with all the fashion stuff. She has ghosted her childhood friend. She's ghosted employees, we're going to talk, by the way, why are Meghan and Harry firing so many members of staff? I'll tell you for why. They're broke. They're flat broke, especially Harry. I've got the inside story. And of course, ultimately, she most egregiously has ghosted her father, Thomas Markle. Are you aware of his accommodation scenario at the moment? Thomas Markle lives in the Philippines. He's in the Philippines. Okay, in a very cheap high-rise, which overlooks a 7-lane highway. This guy, right, I doubt that there's air conditioning in the apartment, so he's up there on probably the 11th floor, sweating his knackers off, in a building that I doubt is structurally sound, because there's an awful lot of corruption in the construction industry over in the Philippines, because it's a poor country. A third of people are below the poverty line. Poor old Thomas Markle is hovering on the poverty line. He probably gets mugged every day by local beatniks. Hey, Mr. America, you give us your money, you got dollars? You got dollars, Mr. America? That's his life. Meghan's quite happy. She's ghosted him and let him have that existence. Well, what's happened is that King Charles has basically adopted the Meghan approach, which is to ghost his own son. And as my Irish mother would say in regards to Harry, good enough for him. Good enough for him. Because I'm sorry, but you reap what you sow. Okay, if I drive too quickly, I'm going to get flashed by the cops. I'll get pulled over. There's consequences. You and I live in the real world. We do something wrong. Things happen. And it's finally time that happened to Harry. And I've noticed that Charles has stepped things up with Harry. And Charles knew that at this great state banquet in front of the President of France and his furious wife, Brigitte, that Harry's going to hear about that and be very, very sad. Because, of course, Harry is the world's least happy millionaire. Humpy-dumpy-dumpy-dump. Oh, my terrible life. In a mansion in sunny California with a Hollywood actress wife, a few million quid in the bank, although dwindling. Mark Dolan's got the inside story. And 16 bathrooms, and it's all so terrible. And I'm royalty and world famous. Isn't it awful? Humpy-dumpy-dumpy-dump. Humpy-dumpy-dumpy-dump. I'm staying in Lee Vining at the moment. Is it called Lee Vining? Yeah, and which, by the way, is not that's not a high school principal. It does sound like somebody that maybe works in insurance. You worried about the structural integrity of your house? Speak to Lee Vining and he'll get you cover. That's what poor old Thomas Markle could do with some Lee Vining building insurance at his place in the Philippines. Hey, Mr. America, you got dollars? Oh, please don't bother me. I'm still getting over my daughter who doesn't talk to me anymore. I just have episodes of Suits to remember her by. I mean, seriously, Thomas Markle, we've got to get him on the show. I love that man. I've got so much for you, so we need to concentrate. Lots to get through, including why the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are firing members of staff, plus highlights from the Mark Dolan road trip as well, all to come. So he makes this speech, and it's incredible, okay? The monarch said, because he was talking about the special relationship between Britain and France, which is a very special one, apart from the many decades in which we were at war, tried to kill each other. Apart from that, apart from the years and years and years of us fighting the French, apart from that, we've had a very good... apart from the cannons and the gunfire and all the rest of it, and centuries of conflict, apart from invasions and territorial pursuits, we're very, very good friends with the French. I love France. La belle France. Pourquoi pas? Je vais à l'école avec mes amis. Right. Can we please concentrate? I've got, honestly, folks, you'd think that I'm somehow filling. I'm not. There's so much material here that we've got to get to. It would help if you didn't interrupt. I don't want to be unkind, but, obviously you have your say, you're the viewers, right? You are my boss, but you chip in with remarks and questions. It slows me down. We've got work to do. What I would say is, I'd say to what my school teacher used to say to me, which is, you're making this worse for yourselves. What did my school teacher say? Something like that. You've only got yourselves to blame. Okay, so, did you see that? This is live telly, folks. How terrifying. The camera went flying. Right. So he's talking about the special relationship with France. And he said, so it's perhaps rather appropriate that my son, the Prince of Wales, who shares the earlier William name, a historic name of William, has made Windsor his home with his family, like so many of our predecessors. So the king is drawing upon history to talk about how great his son is. He's actually invoking history to praise his son. He's calling his son an historic figure. By the way, I've never understood that, ahistoric, ahistoric. It's annoying, isn't it? I don't like pedantic people who go, it's ahistoric, not a. Leave me alone. It's a free country. If I want to say ahistoric, I will. So let me know in the comments, ahistoric or anhistoric. Perhaps rather appropriate, he says. This is in front of the world's press and the French president and his boiling with rage wife, Brigitte, who's got out of bed the wrong side that day, let me tell you. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. He continued with his historical reference, saying, so it's perhaps rather appropriate that my son, the Prince of Wales, who shares that earlier William name, has made Windsor his home with his family like so many of our predecessors. He's placing William in historic context. Meanwhile, no mention of Harry. Harry is non-existent. Charles has ghosted Harry just like Meghan ghosted Thomas. Hey, Mr. America, you got dollars? The King's remarks drew a direct connection between the Norman Duke William, who founded the castle, and his eldest son, William, emphasising the continuity of royal residence at the historic Berkshire location. Let me tell you what this story means, because my job is to break it down for you. But let me know if you disagree in the comments. But my interpretation, what do you think? What does it mean? Do let me know, right? What does it mean? I think it means that he loves his son, he's proud of his son, and he's beaming with pride, and he wants to big him up. Okay, the omission of any reference to Harry during the tribute underscored the continuing tensions between the Sussexes and the royal family. It's absolutely clear what Charles is doing, and he's saying, I've got my son now, who is William, who is my rock, a guy that I'm grooming to become the next king, which I hate to tell you is, you know, I wish it was decades from now, but you'd only have to be a fool to not realise that William has to wrap his head around becoming king at some point in the years ahead. It's not decades, is it? We know that. And that's a burden, and dear, wonderful King Charles understands that. So he's love-bombing his son. He's placing William in historic context. He's showing him respect. He's elevating him. And he's saying, son, it's nearly your turn. It's a little bit like the Lion King. Do you remember Simba? And then I think Simba was a little one, and then the big dad, who what was he called? Oh, I just can't wait to be king. So, armed services. Can we get on now to Harry and Meghan, because I'm going to power through this. Massive news. And the Mark Dolan show was the first show to draw massive attention to the big financial problems that Harry and Meghan have got. And I stuck my neck out, and I will tell you I got dog's abuse for this, okay? But I don't care, because I've got a thick skin, and I burn very easily when it's sunny. I've got other ailments as well. I've got a weeping left eye, and I might have an infected lip. But listen, by the way, that's actually a true story. Can I tell you I've had the craziest thing before I explain Harry and Meghan's big financial problems and why they've fired a load of staff to save money? Coming to that. But can I just tell you that I've got something called Mustang mouth. Right? Now, I've invented that expression, Mustang mouth, but this is the thing. So what happened is, we're driving my hire car, which is a Ford Mustang, which is a great car. I told you before I left for the United States that when I did my rental car, I'd be hiring American, okay? And if I make a commitment to you, I stick to that. And I said, I'm not interested in risking life and limb in a Honda or a Toyota, okay? Or any other such Fiat. I mean, please, seriously. I said I'd hire American, and we've got a Ford Mustang, and it's a stunning car, and it's an example of American industrial prowess, innovation. It's a strong car, it's a safe car, it's a fast car, it's a beautiful car. It's all that's great about America. I love the Ford Mustang. And once my 16-year-old Prius has finally died, I'll be buying American. Anyhow, so can we just get on to this, which is, it's a soft top, right? Convertible, and you're driving along. And I did a couple of days with the roof down, Okay, and it was a lovely thing. And I got a little suntan, it's good. I'm very pale. It's not the worst thing. But after 2 days, I noticed incredibly dry lips. Lips were cracked. So I thought I'd burnt my lips. But it turns out that when you have dry wind on your mouth in a convertible, like a soft top, a cabriolet, you get like cracked, really dry lips. So it wasn't really the sun, because the sun has never burnt my lips before. It was just the wind. I think the wind and the heat. Dry. Anyway, my lips were just as craggy as the rock behind us. And I had a big blister. There's too much information. TMI. Anyway, so I learnt my lesson. So if you ever are lucky enough to be in a cabriolet car, please put some lip balm on your lips just to keep them moist. Otherwise, they will dry out and they will crack. And at the moment, my lips are now expanding, and I'm turning into Mick Jagger. I'm turning to Mick Jagger. Start me up, never stop. Woo! Right. You make a young man die. You see, the problem is now that burst of bloody Rolling Stones has cost the programmes, cost the Mark Dolan show about $1 million. Mick's going to be in charge. Hello, Mr. Dolan. You owe me £1 million for singing some of my songs. Start me up. I can't get no. Oh. Come on, Mick. Seriously, big guy. First of all, Mick, I don't want to pull rank here. I think you're 80 now. It's time to settle down. Can you choose a woman, put a ring on her finger, and make an honest man of yourself? Because it's embarrassing now. Good luck to you. You look incredible. But can you just choose a woman and be a grown-up? Right. Harry and Meghan. So anyway, I've got Mustang mouth. Always use lip balm. By the way, I think we can file that under first world problems, can't we? Mustang mouth? I should say so. Harry and Meghan have cut ties with their public relations team as they focus on saving cash. Now, this is a brilliant exclusive from the excellent news website Page Six, which I love reading and I can highly recommend that you read it. And they've got the full story. So Harry and Meghan have fired a bunch of staff. So Meghan is telling us every 10 minutes that her business empire is growing and she's so excited, and she's too busy to do season 2 of her podcast, which of course no one listened to. And therefore, and of course, she's far too busy with the company called As Ever that has no products. So a podcast with no episodes, a retail business with no inventory, a cookery show with no nice recipes, and now a business empire with no marketing team. So they fired the PR people. Do you know what PR is? It's like public relations. These are, they issue press releases and they make announcements about how great the client is. I don't need one because the show sells itself. You're welcome. So they fired people. The tally of staff, according to Page Six, who do great journalism, there's 25 people that they've got through since 2020, but multiple members of staff have since been released from their duties in the last couple of months, and it is quite clear it's because the couple are broke. Harry's got no job. He's got Centivale, which is a charity which is just smoking ruin that he's left, and he's got a travel firm that reckons that you can travel environmentally friendly. Good luck with that. And there's a great line from the insider, a royal insider speaking to Page Six. It's the same old story with this too, says the insider. They cycle through staff as quickly as normal people cycle through toilet paper. Milk lasts longer than their employees, said the source. It's brilliant, isn't it? So, lots of problems. First of all, the Netflix deal. We were told it was 100 million. Page Six thinks that it's 20 million. Okay? And when you've got agent fees and tax and all the rest of it, you're not left with much. Then the deal is going to be renewed with Netflix, but it won't be a commission. It's going to be what's called first look, and that's what they call in Hollywood BS. Okay, the first look. And don't worry about it. I've had producers seduce me with the first look. Okay, and what the first look means is that it's basically optioning. So if you present an idea that we like the look of, then we might commission it, but there's no commitment whatsoever. So this rollover from Netflix it's not worth the paper it's written on. So the Netflix deal is not great. There won't be another Spare book because he's told his whole story. Another copy. Nothing's happened since. And it would be, of course, a depressing read, wouldn't it? Spare 2, right? The sequel to Harry's book Spare would make War and Peace read like a romantic comedy, wouldn't it? So that's the issue. The issue is that the Netflix thing has gone cold. No second series of the podcast. And then, of course, we know that the As Ever brand is dicey at best. Their expenses for security are around $2 million a year. There's a $10 million mortgage on the house, which they paid $15 million for. So that's a massive mortgage. It goes on and on and on. You know, they've got other people working for the Archewell Foundation. They've got the help at Montecito in their house. There's so much that they've got to pay for, and they are broke and they are firing staff. So it demonstrates what the Mark Dolan show said to you all along. I mean, I said Harry's broke, but the couple actually, and I know I spoke to a divorce lawyer in the UK recently, and he said a lot of these people that seem like they're rich, when they divorce, you realise by the time you've got the tax and then you've got the debt out the way, it doesn't amount to a hill of beans. And I think we've got the clearest proof that the couple are in financial trouble, that they are laying off staff, and it's quite clear that the business project is no more. Okay, before we go, we've got highlights from my road trip, which I can't wait to show you. The French President, Emmanuel Macron, and his First Lady arrived in the UK for a 3-day state visit, but it's gone terribly. So first of all, Macron's 47 and Brigitte is 72, and I respected Macron because she's a beautiful lady, she's an older lady, and it's nice to see a man actually be drawn to a woman of substance and experience. She's great, right? And she's very glamorous. She's gorgeous, Brigitte, and does not look 72. So I've got no problem with that. By the way, I will say that some of my French viewers in the comments are not that fond of Emmanuel Macron because I said that he was trying to reform France and trying to do good stuff, and he was held back. It turns out that c'est pas vrai. Il est pathétique, très mauvais comme politicien. So it seems like the reviews are not great for Emmanuel Macron. You know, my thing is that I live in France, I'm not subject to the consequences of his poor policies. I do know that he did an early election, didn't he, which backfired horribly and he lost all his power, which isn't great. But at least he's got his dinner paid for in the Élysée Palace every night. But anyway, I'll tell you what, dinner is not being cooked by Brigitte because she appears to be furious with him at the moment. Cameras were rolling as Brigitte, his wife, and Emmanuel Macron came off a jet at Royal Air Force Northolt in London. Brigitte left her husband hanging. He reached out his hand to hold her hand and she blanked him, right? Another ghosting. And he's there. He's a leader of France. It's a great country, the great nation of France. And he's been embarrassed publicly by his wife, who wouldn't take his hand. And she took the handrail as well. Eventually, she took his hand, but it was very clear that a message was being sent, which is these two are at war. They're not happy. So the Mark Dolan show is placing Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte Macron on 24/7 divorce watch. Harry and Meghan, forget it. They got no chance. And Brigitte and old Emmanuel is a worry too. The couple have previous when it comes to public rows because it was a flight to Vietnam, Hanoi. And Emmanuel Macron is standing at the top of the plane. He's about to get out, go down the staircase. And suddenly this raging Brigitte, his wife, reaches forward and grabs his face. And almost like an Italian style sort of theatrical slap type thing. But completely unacceptable, can't be justified. I will say the relationship is inappropriate because he was, I think, 15 or 16. She was the drama teacher. He was at school. Not a great look. But anyhow, the bottom line is that those two are in big trouble. And, you know, the anger and the hatred is so public now. They're not hiding it from anyone. And it's a major political headache for poor old Emmanuel Macron. But there you go. It can't be as bad as being Harry and Meghan. Folks, I cannot wait to see you for the next video. Remember our timings. It is now, broadly speaking, it's 1 p.m. on the west coast of the United States, 4 p.m. on the east coast, early morning down under, and 9 p.m. in the UK, my country of birth. Mwah! I'll see you for the next video. Cannot wait. Here are some highlights from my US road trip. Bye for now. Another big day of filming for the Mark Dolan show in the United States. We're still in California. We're still in Lee Vining. It's a place. It's not a real estate agent. Lee Vining is not an injury lawyer. It's a place. It's beautiful. It's on the edge of Yosemite National Park. And I need a big breakfast today because I've got lots of royal truth bombs to share with you. But cameraman John, first of all, America does lots of great things, doesn't it? It's a global beacon of commerce, diplomacy, military prowess, social integration, diversity, the lot. America works. Do you know what it does best? Breakfast. Take a look at this. So I've got an omelette, and it's actually, this thing is heavier than, it's like a weight. It's like a weight at the gym. That's how heavy my breakfast is. I've got omelette with green peppers, chili, all American ham, trusted American pork, hash browns, beautifully shredded, and some great bacon. Cameraman John has gone for pancakes, which is also an American classic, although he's very unprofessional and started eating it. I told cameraman John, can you hold fire? Because I'm going to show my viewers your delicious breakfast. But he's like, what? Halfway through it already. But anyway, you can see it's great. You know, just for old time's sake, because we're going to be leaving Lee Vining soon. By the way, Lee Vining is not a bank manager. Okay. Lee Vining is not a local architect who'll get you a great price. Lee Vining is not a roofer. Lee Vining is a place. Before we go, Nicely's, 5-star. If you're in this area, come to this restaurant. Great people. They've even got their own merch. Cameraman John, have a look at the merch over there on the wall at the back. And as you can see, the staff are wearing the merch. I might buy a Nicely's t-shirt because I'd like to reinvest in this great place. One of the things I love also about America is very modern, very contemporary, dynamic place, but it's quite traditional too. And this place, Nicely's, has been going since the 60s, and it hasn't changed one bit, and I don't think it ever will, and it shouldn't. The worst thing you can do, just have a little look at the kitchen. The worst thing you could do with Nicely's is to spend $1 million renovating it. That would be a crime, okay? That would be like repainting the Sistine Chapel. This is America. This is real. This is beautiful. It's warts and all. It's authentic. We're in a booth. I love these booths because I always feel like I'm in a movie like Goodfellas or something, and I've bumped off my enemy, right? There's some, you know, there's somebody that's tied up with you know, hands tied together with a rope, gaffer tape on his mouth in the boot of one of those cars, and you've come in for a coffee to make a plan of how to dispose of the body. That's basically, it's like a gangster movie. So these diners are dripping in heritage and history and American culture. These diners are the American story, and that's why they can't be adulterated, and they must never change. Okay, I'm getting hungry, it's time to eat. We're on a great hike at the moment. It's the Cathedral Path. It takes you to some stunning lakes, some great views, and we're in a wooded area, but you've got a stream. The water is incredibly clean and pure. This whole place is an absolute paradise for nature lovers. The air is good. I can, you know, there's that lovely pine fragrance in the air, and it's not washing up liquid. It's actual trees. And, you know, this place is quite extraordinary. Yosemite was actually protected officially in 1864, because if it hadn't been, you'd have skyscrapers here now. It would be like New York, and thank God it was preserved. 1864 by none other than President Abraham Lincoln, who by all accounts appears to have been a magnificent president. It was the first land ever set aside by the US government for preservation. So well done, America, for saving this territory. El Capitan is the largest granite monolith on Earth. It's stunning. It rises at 3,000 feet straight up from the Yosemite Valley. It's so massive, it's got its own weather system. Isn't that amazing? Clouds form and disappear on its face. So you've got a mountain that literally influences the weather. That's a mic drop, isn't it? It's the world's mecca for rock climbers. The first ascent of El Capitan took 47 days in 1958. That's a long trip, and that was before Gore-Tex. That was before trail mix, before snack bars. I'm exhausted just thinking about it. And in 2017, Alex Honnold climbed it without ropes in under 4 hours. A brilliant documentary, which I'd recommend. I've watched it myself. It's called Free Solo. This is a guy that climbs a mountain with a kind of horizontal rock face with no ropes. It's called free climbing. I call it crazy climbing, but well done him. Yosemite Falls is one of the tallest waterfalls in the world. It's 2,500 feet, twice the height of the Empire State Building. That is my kind of waterfall. So look, it's great. The trees, 3,000 years old. They are fire resistant, but need fire to reproduce. And the bears. Cameraman John and myself, we've been on the lookout for bears. We're terrified of the bears, but apparently they're more scared of us than we are of them. And but they're very clever, and they've learnt to open car doors with their hand. So we've domesticated them a little bit. And of course, what they're looking for is food. They've learned to recognise coolers and food wrappers through windows. Park rangers call it Yosemite Bear IQ, an IQ which is higher than you'd expect. It is quite something, the bears opening car doors, because it takes me back to an extraordinary anecdote about my eldest son. I've got two sons who, to protect their privacy, I call them Elton and Bernie. And Elton, the eldest, we were in South Africa, and they have baboons there, which are interesting creatures. They're quite small, but they have the strength of about 3 men. Big teeth as well. And but the issue is, in the good old days, they were scared of us. But foolish people feed the baboons in South Africa and other places. You shouldn't feed these wild animals, because what it does is it makes them more interested in human areas. So they come into the garden, and so baboons in South Africa, if they get into your house, they will destroy the kitchen. And it's like tearing open bags of flour and spaghetti. It's absolute carnage. They can cause huge damage. And you know, around children, they're a hazard. So we really shouldn't be feeding baboons. But people do, which is why they're very domesticated. So what happened is, we were on holiday in South Africa, and we were in a safari park, or at least a national park like this one. And we saw a baboon. I got out of the car to take a picture of the baboon. The window was open, okay? And Mrs. Dolan is sitting in the car, and we've got Elton, the baby, in the back. And I get out of the car to take a picture of a baboon. Meanwhile, a different baboon jumps in through the car window into the car, at which point I turn around and I'm just looking. I mean, this is a kind of life flashes before you moment. I'm looking at my car, which all the doors are closed, there's one open window, and in the car is my beloved wife, my beloved baby son, and a fully grown baboon. Just 3 creatures in the car, one of which is a wild primate. So I'm outside the car looking in to this situation. My wife is yelling and screaming, understandably. It's like the call of the wild. I mean, you think baboons are scary. Wives are much scarier, and so they should be. That's, by the way, the order of the universe is for wives to be scary. So she gets out, and then she runs around the other side of the car and opens the other door, and we sort of like try to drag Elton, our eldest, out. And we kind of dropped him as we got him. I remember he sort of, within the car, he fell, and then we sort of picked him up and pulled him out of the car, at which point there's just a monkey in the car. But that was a moment for me to see my wife, my son, in the car accompanied by a wild animal. Not a good feeling. He was in there, he made a bit of a mess, ate some bananas, took a bag, hopped out through the open window and just walked off with the carrier bag of food, like, I don't know, like a grumpy teenager. It was quite amazing. I'm afraid the story doesn't end there. That was dramatic and terrifying. Worth saying that these animals are mostly interested in food, but still, you don't want a baboon in the car with your baby. So that's it, the drama's over and we can all calm down. So we drove into this park, and we then, about 2 hours later, we're in a really lovely beach in the national park. And you've got your sandy beach, and you've got little baby Elton sitting there having fun on thing. And my wife goes swimming, and he's laid out on a picnic blanket or something. And I'm just, I think what happened is I got in the water and had a little paddle, at which point I turn around, and you got my son, who's sat there sort of smiling and gurgling, and then just a baboon walking towards him. So my wife is out in the sea, because she's like a dolphin. Do you know what I mean? That woman she floats. She's very watertight and buoyant. She's a buoyant character. And so she's out there giving it some with the front crawl and all the rest of it, and the butterfly. I'm in the shallow end because I'm a weak swimmer. And so I'm bombing it towards my son as this different baboon walks slowly towards the baby. And my wife is amazing because she starts screaming. She's like, ah, like that. And it was her crazy screaming that made the baboon run away. Now, again, the baboon was just looking for food, but you've got two adults in the sea and then baby on a blanket with a baboon. It's not a great scenario. It's not a great scenario. So I will say that little baby Elton has, you know, he's used up a couple of his 9 lives. So that was it. So we were all happy. We're not going to, you know, by the way, I'm literally a matter of feet away from my son, but that was clearly in itself hazardous in the proximity of baboons. Then you'd think that was it, wouldn't you? We eat some food, we relax, we chill out, we chat, and it's time to go to the car. We walk to the car. There is a baboon sitting on the car, on the roof of the car. And I watched it using its very clever primate hands, trying to open the car door. And we were just like emotionally exhausted at this point. It's like, make this end. And luckily I sort of shouted at this baboon and off he went. We talked to the park ranger afterwards. And he said, the problem you have is that you're dressed casually. And he said the baboons are only afraid of people in uniforms. So the baboons can actually recognize if someone is in a uniform. They recognize the hat, they recognize the clothing. And the people in the uniform, they have like a pole and they poke the baboon and it runs off. And we don't have that. So that was my day of high drama. But it's a reminder of how sophisticated and clever these creatures are and the dangers that exist with any wild animal. Anyhow, there you go. Welcome to Yosemite, where luckily there are no baboons, just massive bears. Nothing to see here.